Aaron Gordon to the Nuggets is the second best trade to happen this season. I'll let you take a stab at what the first one was. But as far as AG, this was the trade scenario that lived rent-free in my head the entire season. It was the perfect fit for both parties, but I did not see a way it could realistically happen. After losing Jeremy Grant to Detroit, the Nuggets were in dire need of a versatile wing that they could use on defense, and to add to their offense as well, as even when they did have Grant last year, I believe they needed somewhat of an upgrade to actually go further. And for Aaron Gordon, well, he's just been in need of a legitimate basketball situation for his entire career. So this trade checked off both boxes, and the Nuggets through their first 4 games with AG in the lineup are undefeated. And they aren't just undefeated, they look really good as a lineup. According to StatMuse, through their first 3 games, the Murray, Barton, Gordon, Porter, and Jokic lineup had played 64 minutes and outscored their opponents by 48 points. That specific lineup had also had the league's best offensive and defensive rating in that span. Tiny sample size, but absolutely something to be optimistic about. So what exactly is happening here where you've plugged an athletic, versatile forward into a lineup that has plenty of shooting and passing? In short, you're getting his best qualities on display. And you're seeing some things that you didn't see with the Magic because, well, Denver is competent. AG as a cutter next to Jokic has been magical. And I'm going to venture to say that's probably the majority of the culprit behind that huge smile on his face that you see him playing with in Denver. The Hawks defense is pretty poor here, but you'll see it on very simple plays like this where they're going to give it to Jokic at the top of the key, set a screen for Gordon in the cut baseline, and you have a wide open dunk. Of course, the top-notch passing and vision of Jokic makes it so that even if a team isn't necessarily playing poor defense, he'll be able to hit a cut in Gordon when the window is smaller. This works so well because AG has a great knack for when to cut. You'll see here Jokic is looking for his options, and as the lane begins to open up, you're going to get a nice cut to the free throw line and a little floater, jump shot, whatever you want to call it, it is 2 points, and that's the thing that may surprise people. Aaron Gordon is not just a dunker. That might be the only thing anybody knew about him from the Magic, but he was actually shooting 38% from 3 with them on around 4 attempts per game. So instead of him just cutting or diving to the basket in what will sometimes be congested lanes, on occasion you'll find him floating to the 3-point line, whether it's a set play or in transition, to knock down the wide open J. That just opens up the floor further for a Nuggets team that is already very offensively potent. Speaking of which, when he cuts into defense that's actually making an effort to stop him, everyone surrounding him can shoot. So as you see here, the lane is wide open for another intelligent cut, the Hawks defense begins to collapse into the paint, and he takes less than a second to realize Michael Porter Jr. is floating to the corner, and that is actually going to be an and one. And so, on well-timed cuts, he's going to have plenty of open dunks from Jokic. Sometimes it's going to be a foul as the defense is late, or he's making the extra pass to a wide open shooter. That's going to be very difficult for any team to stop. In this small sample size, he's also showing off his IQ and unselfishness. As you'll see right here, he could take this wide open 3, but instead he's going to flip a quick pass to MPJ under the goal, and it's an easy 2. I'm going to guess that in Orlando, when you're playing for nothing but stats, you're probably taking the open 3. Denver hasn't necessarily been short on offense this year, so Aaron Gordon the defender is probably what makes someone most excited, or at least the potential of it. This is a 6'8", 235-pound forward that is very agile and athletic, so even if there were lapses in Orlando, it seemed to be somewhat of a given that sending him to a winning team would really bring this out, especially when he's not being asked to be the first option. So along with some flat-out terrific on-ball stops, the effort has been amazing in this small sample. Here, as Jamal Murray is screened and Jokic has to fully commit to Reggie Jackson, Zubac is going to dive right down the middle for what would probably be an easy alley, if not for Aaron Gordon sliding over and taking it away. Pretty basic defensive maneuver, but this is his athleticism on full display. If this is a smaller wing player or even a guard, you're probably just getting a foul on Zubac. This is a clean block, and he's damn near 7 feet tall. That's not easy. Here's a little bit of on-ball as AG shuts out what has been an MVP candidate for most of the year and somebody they're definitely going to see in the playoffs. As Kawhi makes the catch, Gordon is already in his airspace, swiping at it without fouling. As he gets rid of it, Gordon is going to make sure that there's no backdoor cutters and that he's not losing the wing. He's going to return to Kawhi, immediately take away his shot, flip his hips and stay in front of the drive that was going down the middle, flip his hips again and stop the drive that might have gone to the right, and then contest the shot perfectly. Out of anything you might see from Aaron Gordon on the Nuggets, this is quite possibly the most valuable thing. They're going to see a Kawhi and PG in the playoffs, they're going to see LeBron if they're going to go far anyways. They did not have the ability to make these kind of stops before Aaron Gordon. This play happens directly after a score off of a cut from Jokic that for some reason doesn't exist in the footage, but would only serve to prove the point about effort I was talking about earlier. Terrence Ross is drawing Jokic in, giving Wendell Carter a wide open lane to dive. Aaron Gordon is there just like he was for Zubac, and look at the athleticism. This is vertical, and he's going going to take the ball away in midair. So long story short, with his defensive additions to Denver, he is versatile. You're going to be able to put him on 1 through 4 at very least, probably a lot of 5s as well. His athleticism gives him the ability to make defensive stops that other guys simply aren't going to be able to make, especially not anyone else that Denver had. And because of it, he gives the Nuggets an air of legitimacy that I think they'd kind of lost this season after losing Grant. Unlike before a week and a half ago, you can visualize a world where the Nuggets are very deep in the playoffs, and with the way the injuries are going right now, possibly the finals. I probably don't need to dig too deep into what having an athletic wing does to your team in transition, but on this specific play you see he's off to the races, and this is a scary sight for teams where on one side there's AG and on the other there's Michael Porter. There's not a great amount of opportunity there to make defensive plays. Oh yeah, AG the roller of course. Sure, he can be used for pick and pop, but especially when Jokic is the passer, there's plenty of opportunity for easy buckets, and that's going to create hell for defenses, seeing as Aaron Gordon and Jokic pick and rolls are basically big to big plays. Speaking of which, even when it's not involving a pick and roll, it's just kind of ridiculous because the margin for error for the defense is non-existent. You'll see here Jokic is going to come to the top. As he's making the catch, Gordon is already starting his cut. That is a free 2 points. Maybe it won't be this easy against better defensive teams, but even if the action isn't fully successful, it's going to apply pressure on defenses. Here you're going to see it happen in transition after a defensive stop by Gordon. He's going to take the ball up the floor and find Jokic, and as soon as he does, he hits full speed and gets it right back. Once again, the reason for the big smile. Look, simply put, Aaron Gordon in Denver is a match made in heaven. It makes loads of basketball sense for both sides. Denver becomes a better team, and I think over time you'll see Gordon become a better player. Gordon and Jokic are damn near their own duo, and because of it, the Nuggets have a whole new pressure point to put on defenses. Even if it's not resulting in Gordon points, the pressure his cuts apply, knowing that Jokic is looking for him, that just opens the rest of the floor up for a Barton, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter. It's insane the level of versatility that one move can add to a team. Still, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out this season. The Nuggets are not the deepest team you've ever seen, so while they clearly have one of the best starting 5s in the league, we'll see what type of bench production they can get as the playoffs wear on. At the time of this recording, Gordon has put up his best game as a Nugget with 24 points and 7 rebounds against Orlando, defensive stops as you've seen, great offensive sets, and this is probably only going to get better over time, so I suggest tuning into some more Nuggets games if you weren't already there for Jokic's passing. In the case that wasn't entertaining enough by itself, now you have him passing to a guy who wears number 50 because he was slighted during dunk contests. There's clearly more to come. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button, comment, and sub, and if you plan on subbing, also hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications every time a video drops. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.